Welcome to Outlook Money's budget analysis, and we are going to discuss something that matters to you the most, and that is personal taxation. We have with us Purva Prakash. She is the partner of personal taxation at Deloitte, India. So Purva, one of the biggest announcements today was of course that no tax for incomes up to rupees 12 lakh. And that is something that has brought a lot of smiles on a lot of faces that I see around. What do you think about how many people will it really affect after all?
You know, this is a big revamp which has happened on the income slabs and the tax rates. And while it's across all the taxpayers, but you know, the fact that for income up to 12 lakhs, there's going to be no taxation, it's really going to impact what they call as a big, large middle class. Because if you look at the statistics on the, even on the income tax website, you know, a large part of the taxpayers, you know, probably close to 80% of the taxpayers are in this income bracket, the individual tax filers. So if you are basically making their tax saving to zero at the income of 12 lakhs, so it means a big net take home for them, a large amount of disposable income, approximately around 70,000 of tax saving comes into their kitty, which gives a big boost to them, you know, on their consumption expenditure. And it's also serving government's objective, because I think that was the biggest trigger, that to boost up the household expenditure which was falling down. So I think it's a good, very good positive sentiments around.
Yeah, so you're talking about household expenditure. The other part that the FM said that, you know, this kind of benefit will only be available to the normal income and it will not include capital gains, etc. So what are your views on that?
No, you're absolutely right, because this kind of a benefit is available for income which is under normal income and is not governed by the special rates, which essentially means that, you know, income which you earn out of capital gains and those special rates, etc., on that this benefit is not there. So there's no change over there. So typically anyway, the government had last year reduced, you know, they had made substantial changes in the capital gains taxation also. So that stays as it is. For those type of, for the investors and, you know, people investing in that financial investments and all, it's not going to make a change in terms of the tax saving. But yes, for people who want to have a higher disposable income, who were facing the crunch of, you know, of all their expenses and you know, that kind of a not disposable income not being there.
In fact, we've also, the other thing that was announced was that, you know, the 30% taxation slab is now for incomes above rupees 24 lakh and the earlier limit was 15 lakh. So again, it covers a large number of people in that net.
Yeah, you're right. So 30%, the highest tax rate. Earlier it started from 15 lakhs of income, now it's gone up to say 24 lakhs of income. So clearly there is a kind of a saving over there, and you know, if you really do the calculations, it's approximately, it'll come down to, it'll have a tax saving of around 1.1 lakh. You know, so that's a big amount which is coming, but again it is only for the normal income. It's not for that you know, the income which is getting covered under the special rates. So there's no change over there. But I think the main idea was to give that boost to the net disposable income, which is actually getting utilized either on a normal consumption and the savings. So I think that boost comes in through this extra money.
Yeah, one of the other highlights, and that we have been seeing in successive budget announcements, that the changes are only coming for the new tax regime. So why keep the old tax regime at all?
See, that FM has been highlighting that they would like to, you know, give incentives through the new tax regime, so that, you know, it becomes attractive. So they're not going to really make any kind of changes for the old tax regime. I think the idea has been to, you know, have a shift towards the new tax regime and give certain extra benefits which makes it attractive for the people. But coming back to your, and that is what has happened this time also. The entire change in the income and the slab rate has happened in the new tax regime. But coming back to your question, the old tax regime still remains relevant for several reasons. While, you know, if you see the last year, 72% of the people were taking the old tax, adopting for the new tax regime. and only 30% were there. Now with this new change, probably more and more people will go to the new tax regime.
Exactly.
But for some people, it still remains relevant in the sense that people may be living in rented houses, so they are able to claim the HRA exemptions, which is a big benefit
factor.
to them, or they may have taken certain investments they have taken where they're able to still take an advantage of those ATC deductions or medical expenditures. So I think for those people, it'll still remain relevant, and that is why the FM said that she's going to be doing a slow transition so that people are not impacted, and they can take a choice what is more beneficial. So
Yeah,
it'll stay.
and I'm sure this is especially for those with larger health insurance deduction, maybe for the parents as well,
Yeah.
and for HRA on higher incomes,
Yeah,
etc.
some items are there, and people are continuing with those their responsibilities over there. So they may adopt for the old regime and find that still helping them. But gradually, I think with this kind of a benefit, they'll
is
really have to
becoming
evaluate that probably a new tax regime may become a default regime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the new tax reforms bill, that was something that everyone was expecting the FM to announce in this budget, and she's of course put it on the next week. So what are your top expectations from the new bill?
See, what she has outlined, she has announced that it'll come. And what she's outlined as an objective for the new tax bill will be 3-4 things, that it should be simple for the taxpayer as well as for the administrator. Litigation should also be reduced and very simple to understand. And in fact, she's also outlined that probably 50% of that old tax will be there in the new bill. So I think from that objective only, we'll probably expect that in the new bill, these type of simplifications will be there. One, that we'll be able to understand the provisions. There may not be so many sections, and there'll be simplifications so far as provisions relating to litigations and other procedures, etc. there. So I think that's probably would be the expectation, but we'll have to see what really comes out in the final prints, when it's announced. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Purva. And for the audience, of course, the new tax bill is much awaited, and we'll see how it changes our personal life in terms of taxation. For now, the FM really has good news for most of you. Thank you. I'm Nidhi Sinha, editor, Outlook Money.